Okay, in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on graphical concepts within the Flutter application. So, just kind of build a very simple Flutter app, and we're going to just be able to be adding colors into various parts of our application. You may have noticed that when the app was first created by scratch, if you create a Flutter app from scratch, it does actually set and use color here, and it actually specifies the background color to be the color scheme, but uses a inverse of the primary. So it actually looks at um, the scheme that you have set up within the application, and then looks at the primary color, and then sets the inverse of that. But there are other ways that you could set the colors explicitly. And you can see here that I have some widgets here and some text. And here I set with the text, I use the style and I specify a color. And here you can see that I specify red here. Okay. And when you actually run the app, you can see that the first card here was using blue, which you can slightly see is a different color than the default color. And then you can see that this one is red. And you could do other types of style changes. You can actually here I've made the text bold, and I made the text larger. I made the text italics. So you can see that here that this one is a bit bold, a little bit bigger, and and that's it for that one. And then you can see that here, there are other things you can do. You can see that here, this card, the shadow, it looks a little bit different from this one. So I made the shadow uh, thicker, and I made the shadow a darker color. So you can see here on the first card that I specify a different color than the default, and I set a different or thicker shadow. And then you can also see that all the three cards here have different background colors. Now, if you are familiar with web page programming, and you think, okay, when this gets run in the web browser, how is this related to CSS? And can you actually code this in CSS? Well, the answer is no. That Flutter has its own color scheme, but when the Flutter app gets deployed as a web program or web application, it will convert all of this Flutter code into CSS. So you don't have to actually think in CSS when you rerun this as a web application. Okay. Other concepts that you learn in this section, in this lecture, is concepts about the scaffold. So you can see here at the top of this application, we have at basically as the concept of the top level widget here, you have the scaffold, and then inside the scaffold, you can see like the app bar that we've seen before. But here we're adding a drawer item. So you can see that's just a little drawer item, or some people call it the hamburger menu. You click here, and then you can have it pop out with menu items or anything else that you want. And you could have this, you could have that when you click, it does something besides closing the menu. When you close here, it just closes the pop-up menu. All of them do that. But this is basically the concept of kind of extending the scaffold. And there's many other kinds of things you can add to the scaffold. You can add a bottom navigation button bar here, and you can add more icons on the right or on the left side as well. Let's see what other concepts are in here. Okay, so there's also the other kinds of concept of showing like a little snack bar. So here on the bottom one, you click on that, a little kind of snack bar kind of appears on the bottom, and it has a little timer that shows and then just closes after a few seconds. Okay. Um, let's see. And then there's a concept of slivers. So slivers is a concept that you can do, a kind of a thing that you can do within a Flutter application. And if I let's say I shut this one down, and then I run this one, the the sliver type of app bar is where you want this customized kind of scrolling action on the see here, I actually ran it as a web app or a Chrome app that if you slightly scroll down, that you see this top portion of the app gets thinner and thinner, and it will eventually collapse and go away. And if you run this in the mobile app, so if I run it in the Android and I run it again, you will see that um, the the top portion or the app bar portion, that sliver portion will expand and collapse depending on your scrolling action in the main window. So here, so if you're kind of like scrolling down to see more content and you want to maximize the number of items that you can see in the window, you can see that the app bar portion um, eventually collapses. And typically you would put your app your sort of like your logo back here. You can see that eventually it goes away. That way you can maximize and see more items in your list. Okay. And they have grids and list versions of this sliver type of widget action.